In today's video, I'm going to be running you through the 7 laws of spiritual transformation. So if you've taken to the journey or the path of learning how to meditate, or if you're looking to connect more with the divine or God, whatever you call it, then these 7 laws that I'm going to run you through today are going to be really key for you to adopt and to understand and take forward in the rest of your journey. The first law is shortcuts. Naturally, I think that as humans and as people, we want to make life as easy as possible. We don't want things to be difficult. But the pure truth of the matter, especially with spirituality, but you can adopt this same understanding when you look at any kind of positive thing in your life. So whether it's fitness, whether it's healthy eating, all of these good habits are difficult and they take time. And there's no real shortcuts. For years, people were selling those bands that people would put around their bellies, and they would kind of give off some kind of electrical impulse, and people would wear these in the hope that they would develop a six-pack. Of course, everyone understood very quickly that these things don't really work. That's just a shortcut, people trying to make money off you. There's no real shortcuts if you want to develop a six-pack, if you were that sort of person. You're going to have to spend maybe 6 months, a year, several years, depending on what your starting point is. You're going to have to look at lots of different areas of your life. You're going to have to focus on exercise. You're going to have to focus on what you're eating. It's going to be on your mind every day. It's going to have to be something you think about. And in the same manner, if you want to grow spiritually, if you want to feel a deep connection with the divine, or if you want to go deeper in meditation and basically transform spiritually, there are no shortcuts. And people will sometimes have more instant expansions and more instantaneous realizations about things. And from our point of view, it can seem as though they've had a shortcut approach. They've not really put in any work. But if we were to look back across all their lifetimes, it may be that they've been here 1,000 times, 500 times, and you or I may have only been here 100 times. And so from the point of view of this lifetime, it's like, what are they doing? Something's obviously going right for them, but what we're not seeing is the full extent of all of the many lifetimes and the experience and the work that they may have put in previous incarnations. There are no shortcuts with growing spiritually. We have to be involved daily. We have to put in the work, whatever that may be for you. It might be that you pray 5 times a day. It might be that you meditate once or twice a day. It might be that you just communicate in your mind with the divine. There may be some other form of exercise or connection that you do personally, and it's something that you have to go through. So you have to learn how to love this. It's not something that comes easily. There are no shortcuts, unfortunately. And moving on from this is pain, or often I will describe it as resistance. Now, a natural byproduct of trying to grow in any way as a human being is pain and resistance. And this isn't often associated with spirituality, because I think sometimes from the outside, it can seem as though spirituality is this sort of really happy, smiley, floaty experience that is nice and easy and comfortable, and there's never any challenges. And assuming you're someone who has gotten started already with meditation or spirituality, you will know that quite quickly you'll face resistance. It might be that you feel bored when you first start meditating. It might be that your mind is just all over the place. You may find that for some reason lots of emotions come up. You might find that you're falling into this habit of, or this pattern of having nightmares at night. There's lots of different forms of resistance that come along on the way. You could call it pain, you could call it resistance. Either way, we will all face this type of difficulties, or these types of difficulties, as we're going along the path. And as I mentioned, with no shortcuts, the same can be said for general, more practical ways of developing as human beings. So whether we go to the gym, whether we exercise, healthy eating, these types of things, they will also bring about resistance. And often it can be quite confusing. People will not fully understand why that is. It doesn't make sense. We're doing something positive, and it doesn't make sense that when we do something positive, we're then facing resistance. Surely it should be the other way. Surely we should face resistance when we do something that isn't useful for us. But you'll find that If you want to sit down on your living room sofa or your couch and scroll on Instagram or scroll on YouTube, you won't face any resistance for that. You'll feel perfectly fine doing that, and hours will go by. But then you want to go down and you want to sit down and meditate, and 5 minutes in, your mind is all over the place, you're bored, you've got an itch on your shoulder, there's noises outside, everything is all of a sudden heightened and bothering you. And that resistance is all coming from the ego. And the ego is the part of us, the personality, the part of us that we think is real. And that ego will very much create a lot of resistance when we do anything that's healthy and anything that is taking us one step closer to understanding who we are and gaining more control of ourselves. The ego will create a lot of resistance, because as long as we are controlled by the ego and under this illusion that we are the physical self, the ego's life is still existing in a sense. It's preserving itself by maintaining control over us. And someone messaged me recently and said, I understand what you say there, but isn't the ego then kind of killing itself? When you die, the ego will die. But that's not the case, because when you reincarnate into another body, because you've still got many lessons to learn, the ego also reincarnates. So the ego is existing again. So it's actually preserving itself the longer it keeps you coming back here to the physical. So pain and resistance are a common theme, and you will experience them. And this is something that you have to just be ready to accept. Moving on, the third law is accept everything and expect nothing. If you can live by this, you will go far with meditation and spirituality. Accept everything. So this applies to everything I've said already. So pain and resistance, the fact that there's no shortcuts, the challenges that you will inevitably face when you take on the practice of meditation and things like that. You have to develop this state of mind of acceptance. As soon as we stop accepting something, we resist it. And when there's that resistance there, we suffer. We're sort of inadvertently saying, I don't want this. And sometimes we can't not experience these things. We have to experience them. And so to accept everything is a very freeing state of mind. And alongside this, we should also adopt this mentality of expecting nothing. I talk a lot on this channel about different experiences in meditation and seeing colours and seeing this and that. And often people will misinterpret me talking about these experiences as me sort of saying that you should expect these things to come. And that is not the case. I simply talk about things that people commonly experience, that's it. But truthfully, we shouldn't expect anything. We should go into meditation with this kind of neutral outlook. It doesn't matter what comes, I'm going to accept everything and I'm going to expect nothing. And with that, often we make room for things to come, but if they don't, then we've still got this mentality of expecting nothing. So we're creating a content state of mind just by adopting these different principles here. So that is really, really key. The fourth principle is no one can do it for you. I have, as many of you know, an online school. It's called the Inner Journey School, and there's over 250 students in there now, somewhere between 250 and 300. And inside that school, I have many, many courses on meditation. But although it contains everything that a spiritual seeker might need to learn how to meditate properly, to learn different techniques, to connect with the divine, there's classes all throughout the week, I cannot do the work for anyone. And I've noticed that some people will come into the community, they will join nothing, they will watch virtually nothing, and then they'll leave again. And it just goes to show to me that even though everything is right in front of you, everything you could possibly need to support the people, the videos, the lessons, I can't do the work for you. And for you as a spiritual seeker and a meditator, it's so powerful for you to stand and again accept that no one can do this for you. No one can walk the spiritual path for you. People can give you books and give you guidance and point the way and say, actually, I think that's your ego there, or actually, I think you're all right there, keep pushing. This kind of guidance is perfectly good, and it's actually very necessary for most people. But no one can do the work for you. And it's all about, as a human being, someone that wants to take more control of themselves and learn more about the spiritual path. got to take responsibility for ourselves, and we've got to stand that no one's going to do the work for us. We've got to do the work. So even as you're watching this video, you can pause it right now if you're really interested and keen to transform yourself and really connect with the divine more and grow spiritually, and start writing down. I'm not happy at the moment with, let's say, for example, how often I'm meditating. I'm only doing it once every couple of weeks. So I'm gonna write a timetable. I'm gonna work out when I get up in the morning for work, when I get home, and I'm gonna try, and I'm not gonna try actually, I'm gonna make time to fit meditation into my routine, because no one is gonna do it for me. So I have to take the responsibility myself. So hopefully this video up till now will be a bit of a prompt for you to do that. Moving on to the sixth law, your character will be exposed. Be prepared when you start walking along this path that your character will be very much exposed. All of the little weaknesses and flaws that we all have, and that it's okay and we should, again, accept them, is that it's part of us. We have many defects as human beings. We have many areas of ourselves that some we're aware of and we need to work on, some we're not aware of. And many times I'll notice that, and I've noticed this in myself actually, is that I will face a challenge along the path, this journey of life, which is totally normal. And I will fall into this mindset, if I'm not quick to notice this, I'll fall into this mindset of, this is a problem now. And that this difficulty I'm facing is getting in the way of me moving ahead spiritually. And the better approach, and actually the true approach, or the true understanding of this, is that those difficulties that we face are the things that are taking us forward. Because what they're doing is they're showing us areas of our character that need to be transformed. So when we face resistance, when we face challenges and difficulties, and we feel like we can't cope, or perhaps we face different and notice different aspects of our character come forward that we're not happy about, this is a gift, because this is, in a sense, the way I always view it, it's like the divine is showing you, this is part of yourself now that's coming forward, this is what you need to look at. So rather than seeing challenges as a problem, try to see them as a mechanism for growth, something that's actually facilitating you in your transformation. Because all of these different areas of ourselves, they need to be seen, and we need to be able to notice them and acknowledge them to be able to correct them. So just be aware that when you're going along this path, many character defects will be exposed, and you might not like it, but it's part of the process. And these are really brutal truths that you need to know on this path. So I'm just being honest with you today. Many people will talk to you about spirituality and make it out that you can just get into a meditative state in 10 seconds flat, and that there's no work on the spiritual path, and that effort is actually pushing things away from you. And I can tell you, for having done this for 20-25 years and been under amazing guidance from amazing teachers, you have to put in the work. You have to work at this stuff. You have to persist. Gradually things will get better, things will get easier. You will reach a state where you are able to work through life in a peaceful manner. Things just feel much easier to you. The ego is not coming in with anywhere near as much strength. The emotions don't come in with anywhere near as much strength or impact. So things do improve, but it's a gradual, steady process, and you do have to work at it. And I just want to really put this on here because I want you to know the truth of what this journey is going to entail and what your experiences is really going to be like. But when these things are often listed out, it's not an enticing reason to walk the spiritual path and learn about meditation and things like that. These are some of the brutal truths about what you're going to face along the path and what's coming up. And I'm not trying to put you off or to scaremonger you or anything like that. I'm really giving you a greater understanding of what's ahead and enabling you to go in with a good state of mind and understand that when these things come along, it's perfectly normal. It's actually a positive thing, because we can't transform ourselves without a lot of these things coming to light and us being able to see them. So it's very much a positive thing. All of these things are facilitating your growth, but I've got to tell you about them because I'm trying to be as honest as I can, and I want you to succeed in your spiritual journey. So last but definitely not least is single pointed focus. It's so important on our spiritual path that we can develop this skill and this ability to have single-pointed focus. So very essential. And funnily enough, my teacher was talking about a time in history when Japanese ninjas would take their children out for 100-mile runs. And now this just seems inconceivable that a father and son would go out on a 100-mile run. But he was telling me how back then they adopted such a positive can-do attitude in the kids. They instilled it in the kids that you will do this. There's nothing that you can't do. They were fed positivity, and there wasn't an ounce of can't in their language. Everything was you can. And so they were just instilled and taught that you can do anything. There's nothing that you can't do. And I think that kind of attitude alongside this single-pointed, I can do this, I will find the divine, I will find the truth, rather than going down this avenue and then dabbling with this spiritual practice and then dropping that and then going on to another spiritual practice and then dropping that and going to another teacher and trying another meditation technique. All of these things, although we might be moving forward, we're kind of moving forward. It's almost like we're moving forward down the path and then we go here. Then we spend a bit of time there and then we come back and we go forward again and we go here. And then we go forward again and we go here. Whereas we just need to just direct ourselves single-mindedly to finding the truth. You just need to delve into them for long enough with that single-minded attitude, with that I can and I will type of mentality, and you will get there eventually. So I hope these spiritual laws and these principles, these teachings really help you in your journey. I know it's not easy, and I know these can often sound quite negative, but I just want to be honest. I want to give you the truth. I want to give you a head start, and so that you know what's coming up and what you're going to experience, and it's not going to be a surprise to you. There's obviously lots and lots of beautiful experiences as well, which I often talk about in different videos about different experiences and things like that. So if you want more positive inspiration, there's many videos that I've done before where I talk about all of that. So feel free to enjoy those as well. If you do have any questions, or if you do want to be part of an online school, I'll leave a link to my Inner Journey School, an amazing community of meditators and spiritual seekers. So if you want to be part of that, it'd be great to have you on board. Feel free to join us. But failing that, I'll see you on the next video.